What's going to happen if I go to the right? I feel like this entire right side of the screen is black right now for a dramatic reveal when I go through that door, and I kind of don't want to go there.
The handle that opens this rusty monstrosity looks worn out. It looks like this closet is used frequently, and with very little care. A tiny lock is preventing me from opening the door, and despite its size, it seems to be very strong.
I'll show you, tiny lock.
Getting into a punching match with this wouldn't help me at all.
It's not a punching match. Oh, forms. Whoops.
I'm not going to open it this way. I don't see any cracks in the door big enough to get any leverage.
Crap.
There's a bunch of papers stuck to the door of the closet. There seems to be some type of bureaucratic form among them.
Alright, Brigade Mission Protocol number 19 out of 36. Medical Staff 2, Army Staff 2, estimated time 3 hours. GPS, make sure to update the geographical database. Disease test, green, not infected, red, infected. Long-range rifles in main armory, picked up. So this must be the missions that they go on to round up the dissolved. They bring a GPS, a testing kit, and weapons to put them down if needed. Adrian Cedra, Edwin Tiong, Jerome Brown, Christina Boot, Lake Cubilius, Roscoe Fay, Russell Ditch, Tanya Leichnauer. It's really weird seeing smiling characters in this game, by the way. John Bonnet, Andrea Ballard, Paloma Moreno, Andre Reyes, Alberto Valero, Carlos Magro, and Ruben Calderon. Do we think that these... a lot of these people are from Spain. Spain, England, Germany, but lots of Spain. Only a few people in the US. They're all over the place, though. Malaysia. Why do I get the feeling that this first page is sort of lore about stuff, but then all these other pages are like the credits of the game? Like, are these the people who made the game?
Military personnel, GPS, targets, rifles. I'm afraid what's described on these pages doesn't have very much to do with typical medical activities in a hospital.
Yeah, none of the description that he gives you even reflects the fact that there's pages and pages of faces in this thing. I think those are the people that made the game.
It's sagging from the weight, and so dilapidated that I doubt this janitor's cart has many more trips left in it.
What can I do with the janitor's cart? What would I want to do with the janitor's cart? We'll keep that in mind for later. Let's try going in here. The nightmare room, probably? Hello. That's kind of a neat transition. Although I don't know why they're not just separate screens.
Unlike his neighbors, this door is hanging open. All I see inside are remnants of stickers and torn photographs. It looks like someone left in a hurry, without even saying goodbye.
But what the hell is on Joey's head?
A row of anonymous, ramshackle lockers. I get the impression that everything in here could fall apart at any moment. Maybe in solidarity with those poor unfortunates screaming in the main hall.
Oh, this is gonna be a long walk, huh?
The future is in our hands. Collaborate, rebuild, report. From the text, I say this poster must have been part of a government campaign launched after the Great Wave.
Yeah, I would say that's what's going on downstairs is not nearly as optimistic as that poster is.
We must be very deep underground, and the blades of this fan are barely turning at half speed. That explains why the air down here is almost unbreathable. Benches in front of the lockers. Typical locker room. And so is this musty smell of old sweat and dirty socks that permeates this entire room.
I was more interested in whether or not the stuff under the bench was an item, but it does not appear to be.
This glass cabinet has dozens of medications stored inside, classified by type. Antibiotics, anti-inflammatory drugs, diuretics, and, painkillers.
Oh, there we go. That's something that I can give to the woman back home.
Locked, of course. I'm starting to get annoyed with this sense of ownership I see in all the people with closets, lockers, and other storage furniture in this city.
Alright. Crowbar, do your work.
I'd rather use a key to open this case, but I'm a bit short on time. So,
Die. Oh.
Who is it? Who's there?
Oh, excuse me,
What are you doing here? Have you come to steal something? Take one more step and I'll call the soldiers.
No, wait, please, don't do that.
Security, this is Nurse Uma Grundy. I need you to come right away.
No, wait!
You said if I take one more step. You lied to me. I stood perfectly still. Let's see. You can't turn me in. They'll kill me. Steal. No, you're wrong about me. I'm not a thief. I thought the first priority of people in the medical profession was to save lives and you're going to get me killed. Aha! But also Nurse Uma. Oh. I just helped her father.
Wait a minute. Did you say Uma? Nurse Uma?
Yes, that's my name.
Wait, please don't turn me in. I know your father. I saved his life just a few hours ago. They were going to deport him to the refugee camp, but I was able to stop it.
My God, did you say my father? Tell me, how is he? Has anything happened to him?
Don't worry, Uma. He's safe. He told me about you and your work in this place. He was worried. He'll want to know that you're all right. Wait, please don't turn me in.
This is Nurse Uma Grundy. It turned out to be a false alarm. You don't have to come, thank you.
Thank you, Uma. You did the right thing. My name is Michael.
But now you should explain why you burst in here like that. What are you looking for, Michael?
I came to get medicine. I need a cure for the dissolved.
Cure? There's no such thing. You won't find it here or anywhere else. The authorities distributed a memo among the medical staff months ago. I'm sure you can still find a copy of it around here somewhere. It told us that they've definitely abandoned the search for a medicine. You made a mistake risking your life to get in here. The only thing we store here is pain. This place is a tomb for those poor infected devils, but also for the people who work here. I'm sorry, Michael. The dissolved are condemned to death.
No, that can't be. There has to be a solution. A cure. Oh, man. Poor Rod. Poor Colin. Condemned to die. I heard their cries of pain out there. What really happens to the dissolved?
These people suffer the most excruciating pain and die in the most horrible way I've ever seen. The first symptoms are bouts of nausea and fainting, which become more frequent and prolonged as the disease progresses, until in the end their entire metabolism enters a state of shock. Then, their entire cell structure dissolves. It simply disintegrates. There's no medical explanation. It just happens. But there's something even stranger about the disease.
What could be stranger than what you just told me?
The dissolved become erratic, unpredictable, eccentric. They're uncontrollable. That's why the army fears them. They're afraid of their unpredictable behavior, but also of their strange messages. So the sole function of this place is to keep them locked away, hidden, and under the army's control, until death takes them off their hands, one by one. It's also why people who harbor the dissolved are punished. And it's also the reason for the existence of the cleanup brigades.
But I thought they were just controlling the patients to keep the disease from spreading.
But that's a lie, a blatant lie. The spread of the disease is accelerating. The number of cases is multiplying every day. But it's not contagious. We doctors and nurses have been treating the sick for months, in direct contact with them and their remains. And the rate of contagion among us is no higher than out there. The army is lying.
But then, how is the disease spread?
We don't know, Michael. No one knows. What we do know is that it's not caused by direct contact with the victims. There's another reason for the Army's secrecy about the dissolved. Fear. It's human nature to fear the unknown. We tend to panic when faced with something we don't understand. And this damn disease is more than any of us can handle.
Now there's something scary. So at least a normal disease has the courtesy to spread from person to person directly, so you can actually counteract it. But because this disease seems to have something to do with that tear in the sky, And it seems almost as if people might be randomly selected as far as who gets the disease and who doesn't. And if that's the case, like, it takes us into the territory of, actually, yeah, like a decent companion thing to watch related to this would actually be the show The Leftovers, which is a show where, all in one moment, 1% of the population just disappears. 100%, just 1% of the entire world's population at random, with no apparent pattern behind it, just is gone. And the whole show is about people trying to make sense of that problem, and trying to make sense of that, how that happened, and coming to terms with the event itself. And this kind of gets into that territory, but it's even worse because it's ongoing. So there's a constant, very real fear of it happening to you next, and no one knows at all how to stop it, or even how to prevent it, or how to even predict it.
And what is it that makes the dissolve so unpredictable and dangerous?
They know, Michael. You probably think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, they know. They talk about events no one else knows about. They sense things. They bring back information from the places they go. And they talk to the dead there, Michael. They communicate with the dead. They know, Michael. That's all.
They're just sick people, Uma.
No! They're more than just ordinary sick people. You wouldn't talk like that if you had been living with them, and their messages and their prophecies all these months.
Come on, Michael. Come on. Catch up. Notice. Like, realize what this means. You either are dissolved or you have some portion of this thing, because you keep teleporting to different periods of time and seeing things that no one could know. Or, well, the future ones at least is stuff that no one could know. But he doesn't seem to be catching up with us yet.
Wait a minute. Did you just say the dissolved make prophecies?
Let me tell you a story. When I first came to the center, I became friendly with a patient, a 13-year-old girl. All the time I was taking care of her, she never stopped chatting. She told me all about the underground highways. She said she went there every day.
Underground highways?
She said they all went there when they lost consciousness. Obviously, I felt great pity for the girl, but in time I also came to feel tremendous fear. I was afraid of that poor, hopeless child. Her visions, her dreams, her messages terrified me. And then one night she sat down next to another patient, an older woman who looked surprisingly healthy. According to our calculations, this woman still had a few months to live. The woman had just lost consciousness. "Leave me alone with her," the girl said to me. "It won't be long now." And she took the woman's hand. And just seconds later, the woman started to dissolve, shrieking and writhing in pain, until there was nothing left of her but a puddle of brown, viscous liquid. The girl turned to me and said, "I knew she was leaving us, and I didn't want her to go alone. That would have been very sad, wouldn't it, Uma?" The girl's face was still dripping with the remains of the patient. She knew what was going to happen, Michael. She saw it. From then on, my fear became uncontrollable. I felt defenseless next to her.
I understand.
Finally, my panic was so great that I refused to go anywhere near her. And I even, God forgive me, I felt secretly relieved when she herself finally dissolved. They know, Michael, and that's why they're so dangerous to the people in power now.
Okay. Even if we kind of start figuring out what's going on with us, I don't think we want to really confide in her, because she seems to not have the best reaction to this whole concept.
The cleanup brigades. I've seen how they behave.
They're savages. I despise them. They're like predatory animals, heartless and unscrupulous. The rest of the staff refuses to share the facilities with them, so their lockers are out in the hallway. That's where they keep everything they need for their hunting expeditions. The GPSs, the disease detection tests, their ID badges. Each unit is made up of 2 soldiers, 1 doctor and 1 nurse. I mean, doctors and nurses collaborating with those bloodthirsty animals. But then they say, "What do you want? It's our job, and somebody's got to do it."
Yes, that phrase sounds familiar. It's bone-chilling. Police and criminals using exactly the same words to justify their actions. You gotta do what you gotta do. That seems to be the slogan of the executioners of this new world.
There's some dark territory there also, like the detection test. I'm worried about the authenticity of a detection test if they don't know how to cure the disease itself. That seems to suggest that the test doesn't necessarily test the exact cause of the disease, but just one of the individual symptoms. I don't know. I'm not the super expert about biological stuff necessarily, but in my head, this makes sense to me at the very least. Where it feels like if you knew the cause of a disease, you could probably test for elements of that to get be really good at detecting the disease itself. But if you don't know the cause of the disease because you can't cure it and everything, then doesn't that mean you're probably detecting a symptom of the disease? And what if that symptom is shared by other cases that are not the disease? You could have false positives, it seems.
But I heard in the refugee camp, they said a cure is being produced and stored here. Well, if that's not the case, what's the purpose of a building like this?
The Army deliberately keeps that rumor about a possible cure alive. You see, as long as people still have some hope left, it is much easier to control the city more effectively. But it's a lie.
I understand.
This medical center was built just after the Great Wave, taking advantage of some abandoned underground facilities. That was when the authorities were beginning to work on their project to rebuild the city. They told us the building was going to be used to take in the first patients. Of course, we had no idea the disease would become so widespread. I left my job in a clinic downtown to come here. I wanted to lend a hand. They demanded total confidentiality about our work to avoid causing panic in the population. Not even my father knew what we were really doing in here.
Yes, he told me that when I asked him about this place.
At first, we treated the patients with great care. There was medicine to ease their suffering and even research into a possible cure. Everything was going smoothly.
And then what happened?
Things started to go wrong. When the number of patients multiplied, we couldn't keep up. And then we began to run out of even the most basic supplies. And that was when the Army took over complete control of the center.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Then they sealed off the building. No one was allowed to leave, not even us. We doctors and nurses have been shut in here for months, isolated without even a glimpse of daylight. They say it's for security reasons. It's for our own safety. Oh yeah. Now our medical care is limited to wrapping up the patients in plastic bags, like the ones they use to transport cadavers, and then simply waiting for them to die, doing what little we can do to ease their suffering. Then we dispose of their remains, dissolving the black bags in acid for decontamination. And that's about it. That's all we can do with the resources we have, and sometimes it's just too much to bear. Talk to my father, Michael. Tell him that I'm all right, that he shouldn't worry, that we'll be seeing each other soon, very soon.
Sounds like she might want to just break out at this point, because I have an escape route for her that she can use if she wants to, and she's not even helping anymore. Like, there's no medical anything happening at this point. They seriously just capture people that are sick, put them in bags, and just wait for them to die, and then dispose of the bodies. Like, that's grunt work for anybody who can do it without going crazy. Can I take these pills? She didn't even react. Oh, I guess those are mine now.
The nurse's silhouette seems to fade in the light of this lamp. I'm afraid that after so many months cooped up in here, Uma is nothing more than a ghost now.
That's dismissive. You're not going to try to tell her we can leave? We could tell her about the exit.
Hello, Uma.
Nope, that's about it.
Uma, I should be going now.
Talk to my father, Michael. Very.
Yep, no new dialogue there. That's too bad. She should be able to leave. Like, I have a clear exit for her. She could run and just try to have a life again, because she's not doing anything in here anymore. They're just capturing people and piling them up as bodies.
The floor of this place is one big revolting ashtray. It's a little disconcerting to note that cleanliness is not exactly a top priority in the hospital.
Well, we know what they do in this hospital. They just pile people up and wait for them to die. Like, she doesn't even... They either don't have the care or resources to actually find a cure, use a cure, or even look for a cure.
It's an enormous, wrinkled plastic bag that looks like it wants to escape from the cart's trash can.
It's a bag. We can go back to that guy's house and wrap their son in it because he's going to die. Everything sucks.
I'm not going to leave this place without finding one of these memos about the dissolve that Uma mentioned. If it's true that the army has stopped looking for a cure, I'll need some proof to take to Rod.
We need to find proof they're not looking for a cure. Is that on this? The forums?
There's a bunch of papers stuck to the door of the closet. There seems to be some type of bureaucratic form among them. Military personnel.
We've already been through all that already, so I can't take this with me. The credits. Oh. Hello. Neutralized objectives. What is that? Miguel Company? Brian Connors, Doug Baxter, Ryan Power, Mutlu Koksal, Jamil Ismaili, Matthew Francis, Pablo Roda Palacios, Diego Bezares. Nope, no response to that either. I don't think this thing's useful. I think those are also just people's names, honestly. Janitor's cart. How do I guess I'll just look back around. Was I missing something in here? Should have the desk.
Let's see. Inside I only see dust and old papers and a tiny key.
There we go. That makes way more sense. Okay, so now I've got the key I can use on this.
Let's see if it's the key to this closet. Bingo!
I was gonna say, there's only so many places I could check. There's not much level left.
I'm not going to take any. A small red LED is blinking on all of them, an unmistakable sign that they've been used.
That was a collection of items right there. Okay, so since we got in here, we got an acid jug, morphine, a black bag, wooden crate, GPS, ID, and a report on the cure.
Oral morphine, a glass vial with a dozen red pills. I didn't know morphine also came in this form. I thought I'd need to look for a liquid solution in a syringe. That's a relief. It's one of those plastic bags used to wrap up the patients in their final hours until they finally dissolve. The damp, sticky texture alone sends shivers down my spine. That means it's been used. A rather large plywood crate. It used to hold some of the cleanup brigade's work tools. According to one of the cleanup brigade's forums, this is the device they use to navigate during their raids. Sort of like an electronic map. It looks like some satellites are actually still working after the Great Wave. Something I could easily confirm if this contraption had batteries in it.
Ah, so now we need batteries for the GPS.
Authorized Vehicle Pass. It's the ID that allows the cleanup brigades to get in and out of the hospital compound in their macabre ambulances. From what I can tell, the Army can pump you full of lead if you try to come through the gate without one of these. It's an internal Army memo for the hospital's medical staff. The report talks about the failure to develop a cure for the dissolved, and what's even worse, the decision to finally abandon the search for one.
That's pretty rough. That's the end for everybody, really. Alright, so I don't have... So... still need to talk to Rod. We need the morphine from Misha. So I have something to give to Rod and something to give to Misha. And if I give that to Misha, we'll have money to go to Rose, which will be good. We get a prophecy from that. We need batteries for the GPS, and that's all of our loose ends right now. Does that badge mean that I can now take the front entrance to leave this place? Or to enter it? Just don't have any lights, right? That's not a good sound, is it? Is something bad happening? That's probably not good. Oh, it died down. Okay. Oops, I clicked out. Getting really good at clicking out of that window. Alright, let's head back to the original camp.
This street is even more desolate and silent than it was before. I guess while I was in the subterranean hospital for the dissolved, the soldiers called the curfew.
So now people can't be outside because the curfew's active. Oh, the sister's out.
She meditates in silence, resigned and exhausted. Considering the mental state of Reverend Blake, I guess it falls to her to take care of him night and day. What are you doing out here, ma'am? What's the matter?
It's my brother. He's disappeared. We don't know where he is.
What do you mean he's disappeared?
Well, we haven't seen him since he spoke to you, since he ran out of the church. We've been searching for him for hours and can't find him anywhere.
And you don't have any idea where he might have gone?
No, he simply ran out of the door, completely out of control. I've never seen him so upset. And we haven't heard anything from him since. I just know that something terrible has happened to him. My brother is very sick and he shouldn't be out there alone and unprotected. I fear the worst.
Calm down. There's no reason to think that anything has happened to him.
I have a feeling that something awful has happened. I'm sure of it. Besides, the soldiers have already called the curfew. If they find him on the street alone and lost, in his condition, my brother is a very beloved and respected person. But those beasts don't care who he is.
I understand.
We have to get off the street. Please, if you see my brother, tell him to come home. Tell him we're waiting for him.
Of course. I'll do that.
What about me? Does my status as a mole mean that I don't get curfew, or am I similarly in trouble if I get caught?